Welcome back, and moving on to our last segment for today. As we mentioned in the beginning, we're going to bring you more about the Egyptian Museum of Cairo. And we're going to talk more about some of the pieces that are going to be displayed in the Egyptian Museum of Cairo after moving the belongings of Tutankhamun to the Grand Egyptian Museum of Egypt. And in particular, we're going to talk about Yoya and Toya. So today we have the pleasure to talk with our guest for today, Ms. Heba Ibrahim. She is a curator leading VIP delegation in the Egyptian Museum of Egypt and also PhD researcher in Egyptology. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Heba. And let's talk about Yoya and Toya. We were talking before we go on air about Yoya and Toya and how significant the names are. Is it really significant names, or that was common back at that time? And who are Yoya and Toya?
Yoya and Toya, they were the father-in-law and mother-in-law for the king Amenhotep III, which is dating to Dynasty 18 New Kingdom period. Yoya is the name of the man, and Toya is the name of the woman. There is two persons, man and woman, and they are married. Okay. Yoya is a man. He was the father-in-law of the king Amenhotep III, and they were the parents of the Queen T, who was the wife of the king Amenhotep III. Okay, so that's why they were very, very famous, because the king were completely cared about them, and he prepared a perfect tomb in King's Valley to be buried inside. Okay, so their tomb is very, very different than royal tombs at the King's Valley, but without painting or reliefs. But the tomb is completely intact, discovered at 1905 by Keppel in that time, and then Davis comes after Keppel within 2 years to complete the discovery process for this collection. So, and we have a great honor to keep all this collection and house this collection in the Egyptian Museum in Cairo in second floor. Yoya and Toya, they have different origins than Egyptians, but Toya, the woman Toya, according to the face fishers, she is typically Egyptian. Okay, because we have already presented and we have already displayed their mummies within the museum. So this is, I think this is a great moment to invite you to visit the collection of Yoya and Toya in our museum. But Yoya, the man, okay, has different face features, a little bit different noise and different sharp and wide forehead. Okay, along debate with scholars, among scholars and among Egyptologists in that time, that they decided finally, according to the face features and different noise of Yoya, and also according to the written name of Yoya. He has 11 styles of written letters inside his tomb for his name. Sometimes Y I, and sometimes IY, and sometimes YIY. So different written letters. This is kind of convention in writing names. So that's, they decided Yoya must be Semitic person that comes, he is not Egyptian, he is not completely 100% from Egypt. Semitic come from I think Nubia or in that area, but Toya, she is typically Egyptian. They were married and they were loved each other very much, and they give birth for the Queen T, and she came after that to be the wife of the King Amenhotep III, who established the great empire in ancient Egypt and the golden age of a New Kingdom period in that time. And they were also the grandparents for the King Akhenaton.
Talking about the belongings that are going to be, we understood that it is going to be redisplayed in a different way in the
Yes.
Egyptian Museum of Egypt. Tell us more about this, about the concept, and what exactly are we going to see? How many pieces, for example?
More than I think 1,000 pieces for this collection. Very very nice pieces, and if you come to visit the Egyptian Museum, so we have the second floor in the first acts after Royal Mummies Gallery. So you get into this gallery. So we explored. So you can explore a lot of.
We have big statues for
objects.
them, big
Yes,
sarcophagus.
yes, we have everything for funerary equipments for this collections. So you can see our panels, how we display the tomb plane and the discovery location. So we have the masks of Yuya and Toya, cartonnage masks made of gilded wood, okay, and inlaid with a very precious and semi-precious stones. And we have 4 coffins, each one goes inside each other to protect, for more protection for the mummy of the Yuya and the mummy of Toya. And we already display 2 mummies, Yuya and Toya, and we have Ushabti statues, so several Ushabti statues which imitated to be servants for the deceased in the afterlife, to carry anything the king or the woman or the man or the deceased needs in his afterlife. So also we have the most important object in that collection is the funerary papyrus, which is 20 meters long. It's the longest funerary papyrus of the Book of the Dead for Yuya. This is, I think for me and for other visitors, when they come for the first time to visit this collection, oh, they were very fascinated and shocked. Very very long. So we have a special wall to display this papyrus. Book of the Dead is very famous in ancient Egyptian religion text. It's only magical spells and magical content to keep the deceased in a very good case, and to facilitate the passing way for him in the afterlife, to facilitate the judgment process, and facilitate to how he is going to overcome the devil's souls and the dangers of the afterlife, to be at the end in the paradise. So of course after the judgment, if the heart is equal to the feather of justice, so he is very innocent and he doesn't have anything in his life, and he should start his admission with I ink makhru, that means I am the true of voice, so I didn't do anything bad in whole my life. And then if the heart is equal to the feather of justice, feather of justice is symbol of the ostrich feather. If it's equal, so he is perfect and he's good and he is innocent. If there is something bad happened, I mean if the heart is falling down or the feather is falling down, that means there is something wrong. He should be punished. But how he is going to be punished? By the predators, creators, which has a mixed figurines, which has a crocodile head, and with a lion forehead, and with the peak of hippo animal. This is very, specific monster is going to eat the guilty hearts of the guilty people. This is the punishment of ancient Egypt. And this papyrus only we have mobile application for them as an interaction tool between the public visitors.
You have
Mobile application.
mobile application.
Okay, some application to investigate the whole papyrus. You have some texts, okay, so if you put your application, so you need to download this application over your mobile, and then you go over the papyrus, and then try to explore each part. I mean, this application illustrated each part in general. What is this papyrus? Who is Yoya and Toya? What they are doing there? I mean, in a very simple way.
Amazing.
Yes.
From what we can understand from your stories, those very interesting, amazing stories about life after death and judgment and the feather, and if it outweighs, I mean, the heart outweighs the feather, then he's innocent, and all that stories. It's the journey of the deceased. How important is it to those people back then, the pharaohs, and why did they cherish it? Why did they give it importance and gravity that much?
Yes, journey in the afterlife for the deceased is the life, because ancient Egyptian believes in eternal life, that he is going to lead eternal life after his death, is going to rebirth again, is going to re-enjoy again with the daily life that he has already had in his daily life or normal daily life, but in a different way, in a very ideal and in a very quiet and in the paradise with the Egyptian gods and with the Egyptian souls, okay, around him. So he considered ever when he, for the pharaohs and for the individuals and for the public, the common people in ancient Egypt believes in the afterlife, he should, the first and the last concept that he should think about his afterlife or her afterlife, from from his birth to his death. So the first concept is thinking about the gods, thinking how to satisfy the Egyptian gods.
Gods?
The gods.
Okay.
Thinking how to satisfy the Egyptian gods, thinking how to make eternal offering after his death, thinking about recommending and giving recommendation for his family or for his sons, for his daughters, to pray to him for his death, thinking about eternal life when he is live. This is the concept of ancient Egypt and ancient Egyptian civilization, based on eternity and believes in the afterlife always.
Tell me, do we know anything about their era? How was life at that time? Where they sometimes we have famous names, and we know that this era or that era used to be a prosperous one. There are other period of times that they used to suffer during such a period. So, do we know anything about their reign, the age during which they lived?
Yes, of course. Especially if we have you and Toya as example, so you can see from the equipments in the afterlife and the equipments of this tomb, especially the objects like such as the ushabtis. So we have also mummified food for them. So if you investigate it and during studying this object of mummified,
by the way, we can see
offering
the face right now on the screen, and just as you
Yes.
we were talking right now, he has different features from other kings and pharaohs.
Yes, because he always prefer ancient Egyptian concept, prefers always to lead in his afterlife or to lead eternal life with a very ideal style and look. Always would like to be in will
Perfect.
be youth, will be young and look very good and sportive and has energy. This is the
In that
this is the
sense,
mask
they
of
believed
Nuya.
that if they're going to be going back to life again, so they just put that statue so that they can go back to life in that shape, youthful.
Yes,
I mean, if I
yes. He would
set my-
like to lead eternal life like this. He would like to rebirth again like this. If he is, if the woman is beautiful in his normal life, she would like to be better than her beauty also. You know, they were looking forward to ideality in that time.
Right, but then I would ask you again, what are the most precious artifacts or the most precious monuments inside this museum, according to you? What are the things that you think that this could be the favorite for the people who are visitors?
For me as a curator leading VIP delegations, of course the Mask of the King Tut.
So you are going to miss this a lot.
Fascinated, yes. Not miss a lot, but we have also hidden treasure in the basement. So we are going also in our future trends to recover all this treasure, but of course not now, because we have launched a project now currently, which is a transformation of Egyptian Museum. It's a grant presented to the Egyptian Museum by European Union. So we have some concept to redisplay the permanent collection that is going to stay. And Egyptian Museum is going to be the museum of Egyptian art. So we are going to explore and to discover the unique Egyptian art which is specific for each period in our museum. It's completely different than we have now. Of course, Tutankhamun mask, and the masks of Yoya and Toya, and the longest papyrus of Yoya and Toya also. This is very, very attracted to the public and the VIP delegations. Royal mummies. Royal mummies is really fascinated when you get into for the first time and see original and royal Egyptian king. So especially Ramses II, Amenhotep, Thutmose III, the Queen Hatshepsut, and other.
The belongings of Akhenaten will remain in the Egyptian Museum or will be transferred?
No, Akhenaten, he doesn't have a complete mummy. Okay, but he has.
No, I'm talking about his belongings or the.
Yes, his belongings. Yes, in special gallery.
Will remain in the Egyptian Museum.
Till now, yes, but some of pieces is going to be moved. But I mean, the principal or the main piece is going to stay in
because
the Egyptian
again,
Museum.
it is a turning point in history when it comes to the revolution in the arts in general,
right.
of course.
It's a turning point in religion and political
and arts
background and arts and the representations, everything.
In 1 minute, how could you think we could be able to promote for the new collections? Because there are magnificent pieces inside the museum. Probably you are promoting for 1/3 of it. So what could be the best thing
promotion
for you
styles,
people in charge?
Yes, promotion styles in Egyptian Museum currently we are working in different ways. So we have museum community engagement, okay, programs to to encourage other people and the community around the museum to come to visit the museum, and the children's school and children museum, and also we have some tours every day for the Egyptians, because we have already a special association of Egyptian museum friends. So we support them and they support Egyptian families and Egyptian public, okay, to visit Egyptian museum every day and to have a fast tour around the museum to see the masterpieces. And also we have some events. We organized events to have tours with the Egyptian public and with also foreigners, okay, to explain the masterpieces and the Egyptian museum, and to explain how this museum is going to stay as the Museum of Egyptian Art.
I believe that everyone now is eager to see more about the Egyptian Museum with a new style of the redisplay of its precious pieces.
Yes, you are the most welcome, of course, to visit our museum.
Thank you very much, Ms. Heba Ibrahim, curator leading VIP delegation in the Egyptian Museum of Egypt and also PhD researcher in Egyptology. Thank you very much for joining us.
Okay, thank you.
And I guess by this we come to the end of our breakfast show for today. Thank you all for joining us, and you are in the company of my dear colleague Dina Hussein and myself, Nashwa Rashid. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more coming up on Nile TV International.